Why do we do it? Seriously. Every year, millions of Americans save up their hard-earned cash, meticulously plan their 2 weeks of freedom, and then fly straight to places like London, Paris, places where a single cup of coffee costs more than a small child's education in some countries. We stand in line for hours to see a painting, pay $12 for a bottle of water, and call it culture. We come back with an empty bank account and a picture of ourselves pretending to hold up a leaning tower. I'm here to tell you there's another way, a better way, a way where your wallet doesn't weep every time you leave your hotel. It's a magical, mythical land I like to call the cheapest place on earth, Uzbekistan. Forget everything you think you know about travel. Forget budgeting. Forget making tough choices between a museum ticket and eating dinner. In Uzbekistan, you don't have to choose. You can have it all, and then have it again tomorrow, because you'll still have a comical amount of money left over. This isn't just a vacation, it's an economic stimulus package for your soul. So join me, won't you? Let's embark on a sarcastic tour of a country that hasn't yet realized it could be charging us so much more. My plane touched down in Tashkent, the capital city, and the absurdity began immediately. I handed the airport taxi driver a crisp $20 bill for a ride to my hotel, a journey that would cost me about $80 in New York. He stared at it, then at me, then back at the bill. After a frantic exchange, he produced a mountain of local currency, the Uzbek som. I felt less like I was paying a fare and more like I was executing a foreign currency exchange of national importance. Walking through Tashkent was like being in a beautiful, clean, and slightly confusing dream. My first mission was food, naturally. I stumbled into a small local eatery, pointed at something that looked like a meat-filled pastry, and braced myself for the financial damage. The lady behind the counter said a number. I handed her what I thought was the equivalent of $5. She laughed, then gave me back a giant handful of change. I walked away with my snack, which cost about 30 cents. 30 cents. I've paid more for a single napkin at a baseball game. With my newfound wealth, I bought a bottle of water, another pastry, and then, feeling reckless, a third one. My total spending spree came to less than $1. Later that afternoon, I visited a market. The prices were so low I started to suspect it was a prank show. Are they filming this? Is Ashton Kutcher going to jump out from behind that pile of melons? I bought a bag of pistachios so large it could feed a family of squirrels for a winter. And it cost me less than a pack of gum at Walgreens. By the end of my first day, I had ridden in a taxi, eaten 3 meals, snacked aggressively, hydrated myself thoroughly, and sat down at a cafe to calculate expenses. The grand total for my extravagant day? About $8. Back in the USA, $8 gets you a fancy coffee and existential dread. In Tashkent, $8 makes you feel like you've hacked the global economy. Now, let's talk about public transportation. In America, taking the subway is a game of chance. You might get to your destination, or you might end up in a performance art piece you didn't sign up for, all while paying $3 for the privilege. In Tashkent, the metro is not just a way to get around, it's a destination in itself. Each station is a work of art: marble walls, giant chandeliers, intricate mosaics, grand halls that look like they belong in a czar's winter palace. It is, without a doubt, the most beautiful subway system in the world, and I'm including the one at Disney World. The best part? The price of admission to this underground art museum. A single ride on the Tashkent metro costs 1,400 som. 1,400. Then I did the math. It's about 12 cents. 12 cents. You can travel from one end of the city to the other, through halls of polished granite and under sparkling chandeliers, for the price of a single screw from an IKEA furniture set. I spent an entire afternoon riding the metro, getting off at every stop to admire the decor. My favorite was Cosmonautlar. Ceramic cosmonaut portraits, deep cosmic blue walls. It's like stepping into a 1960s sci-fi movie. You half expect to see a man in a silver suit float by. I devised the Tashkent Metro Challenge. Could I spend an entire American dollar on metro tokens? It required 8 separate trips. I rode back and forth, got off at every stop, felt like a seasoned commuter, and by the end, I had successfully spent $1. It was the proudest and most exhausting financial achievement of my life. If Uzbekistan has a national religion, it is Plav. Plav, Glorious mountain of rice, carrots, onions, meat, slow-cooked in a giant cauldron called a kazan. It's greasy, it's hearty, it's absolutely everywhere. Eating Plav isn't just a meal, it's a cultural event. Entire restaurants, Plav centers, dedicated to one dish. You don't get a menu, you gesture how hungry you are. A man with a shovel-sized spoon heaps a plate high, glistening golden rice. I braced for $10, maybe $15. The bill came, about $3. Three. I had to read it twice. Kebabs, shashlik, 50 cents a skewer, lagmen for a little over $1, samsa fresh from the tandoor, so cheap I bought them for strangers. Every meal a feast, every bill a joke. In Bukhara, I ordered what I thought was modest. A soup, a kebab, some bread, and a salad. The waiter asked, "Are you sure? Just that?" I panicked and pointed at more items. Minutes later, my table was covered. The final bill, $6. I waddled out vowing never to complain about appetizer prices again. Not for cost, for expansion. Visiting a bazaar in Uzbekistan is an assault on the senses. The smell of spices, fresh bread, grilled meat, vendors calling out, customers haggling. Mountains of dried fruits, nuts, hand-carved chess sets, brightly colored textiles. 1,000 Costcos squeezed into one vibrant open-air market, but everything is beautiful and handmade. At the famous Chorsu Bazaar under its giant blue dome, I approached a stall selling dried apricots. The vendor offered a sample. "How much for a bag?" The quote converted in my head, insultingly low, so I did something probably taboo. I tried to bargain up. "No, that's too cheap. How about double?" The man looked at me like I was a malfunctioning robot and refused. I walked away with a kilogram of premium dried fruit for the price of a sad Manhattan apple. My shopping spree continued. Loaf of stamped bread for 25 cents, spices for less than $1. I found hand-painted ceramic plates. Gorgeous, $5 a plate, and felt so guilty I bought 4. I bargained for a silk-embroidered chapin. We sipped green tea, went through the bargaining dance, shook hands. I got it down to about $30 for a handmade coat. Back home, that's a corporate t-shirt. I was practically hemorrhaging money. Tens of dollars felt obscene. I was a madman, a shopaholic unleashed, and yet my wallet barely noticed. I was single-handedly trying to prop up the Uzbek economy, and still had enough left to buy the entire bread section of the bazaar. If Tashkent is the modern heart, Samarkand is its soul, city of legends, the jewel of the Silk Road. The main event is the Registan, 3 grand madrasas, towering portals with intricate blue tilework, turquoise mosaics, and gold that glitters in the sun. It should cost a fortune to see. So you can imagine my shock when the entrance fee to this UNESCO site was about $4. $4. For the price of a lukewarm coffee, you wander courtyards that have stood for 600 years, touch tiles laid by artisans under Tamerlane, stand where traders once gathered. Shah-e-Zinda, a stunning avenue of mausoleums, entrance fee around $2. I saw more beauty in that street than in museums charging 20 times the price. Gure Amir, Tamerlane's mausoleum, opulent gold leaf interiors. Ticket, about $3. I did the math. For less than a movie ticket back home, I visited Samarkand's greatest sights. I shuffled from one monument to the next, fueled by cheap kebabs and disbelief. Samarkand isn't just a city, it's the world's greatest bargain bin of history. I spent hours sitting and staring, feeling like I had committed grand larceny against tourism, but it was worth every bewildered cent. The Som is a journey. Due to inflation, denominations are huge. Exchange a $100 bill and you get a stack so thick you can't fit it in your wallet. You feel like a drug lord. You feel like a rapper in a music video. First time, I stood there holding my brick of money and didn't know what to do. Like an unregulated nationwide Uber. Stick your hand out and a car pulls over. We agreed on 10,000 som, which sounds like a king's ransom, but is actually about 80 cents. I handed over a 10,000 note and he panicked. He had no change. He showed a 5,000 note and held up 2 fingers. Took me a minute. My 80-cent fare was too much for him to break. We went on a side quest to a shop for change. The shopkeeper, driver, and I had a good laugh about the clueless tourist flashing big bills. Peel off several large bills from your money brick, wealthy and ridiculous at once. I learned being a som millionaire is more of an inconvenience than a status symbol. Fares are ridiculously low. 10-minute ride =, about $1. The drive was pleasant, filled with hand gestures, smiles, and the occasional frantic search for change. One of the greatest joys of traveling is navigating local customs, which is a polite way of saying being a confused idiot and hoping people are nice about it. In Uzbekistan, people are endlessly hospitable. If you are invited into someone's home, you will be fed until you can no longer form coherent sentences. You will be offered tea, then bread, then sweets, then fruit, then a full meal, and then more tea. Refusing is polite at first, but persistent refusal is seen as weird. Hosts pile food on your plate with a cheerful yaying, "Eat, eat." My baptism by fire came when a shop owner in Khiva invited me for tea, which turned into a multi-course meal that appeared out of nowhere. I ate and left stuffed to the point of pain. The handshake flourish. Shake hands and then place your hand on your heart. It's a sign of respect and sincerity, more meaningful than our awkward hug or not dance. I messed it up constantly, forgetting the flourish, doing it at the wrong time, or trying to shake a woman's hand when it wasn't done. I was a walking cultural misstep, but everyone was patient and kind. Kids would practice their English, old men told stories with hand signals, and small human moments reminded me the best parts of travel have nothing to do with money or monuments. So what's the takeaway from my sarcastic, budget-friendly tour? What can we, as Americans, learn from a place where a feast costs less than a parking meter? First, our perception of value is warped. We've been conditioned to believe expensive means better. $20 cocktails, $200 dinners, $2,000 handbags. Uzbekistan laughs at that logic. World-class beauty, incredible food, and history without soul-crushing price tags. We could learn a thing or two about hospitality. In America, hospitality is often a transaction. In Uzbekistan, people share because you are a guest. Maybe a little of Uzbekistan will stick with us. Maybe next time we pay $15 for an airport sandwich, we'll chuckle and remember buying a 3-course meal for $3. Maybe we'll remember a subway station that looked like a palace and cost 12 cents to ride. It recalibrates your sense of normal. So if you're tired of the travel rat race and want an adventure that expands your mind without shrinking your wallet, Uzbekistan is your place. Just do me a favor. Don't tell too many people. Let's keep this our little secret. We wouldn't want them to get any funny ideas and start raising the prices. Bye for now, and bring an extra bag for ceramics.